They had just gotten back from the movie theater and both boys decided that it was too late for Akashi to walk back home by himself. Bikudo doesn't even ask his parents, but he never really does anyway, and it's settled that Akashi will stay the night. He goes to look for something that will fit Akashi for him to sleep in, so he just sits on the older's bed and watches him rummage through his drawers. Aha! Bikudo grins triumphantly, holding up a pair of pajama pants. I knew you had left these here a while ago, but I always forgot to give them to you. Glad I didn't. The pajama pants are dark blue and covered in sloths hanging from Christmas lights. Akashi vaguely recognizes it. They came with a matching creme-colored shirt with a sloth on it that says, "Hang in there." On it in a silly font is a set. He doesn't ever remember wearing them in front of Bikudo, but apparently he did and will now have to wear them again. He tosses him the pants and Akashi catches them swiftly. He quickly puts them on and waits for Bikudo to find himself pajamas so they can watch something on his TV together. After changing, Bikudo crawls next to him and tells him to find something on Netflix. He scrolls the browse page for a bit but doesn't find anything he thinks he or Bikudo will find interesting enough to watch. You're taking forever, Akashi. Bikudo whines. Just put anything, literally. I'll even watch Beverly Hills Chihuahua at this point. Akashi chuckles under his breath and, because he's a little tease, puts on exactly that. Bikudo pinches his thigh and gives him a look. What? He looks at him, feigning innocence. You said you'd watch anything. Bikudo pouts a little, but scoots closer as the movie starts. Akashi notices, of course he does, the proximity of their bodies. They're pressed together and he can feel the warmth coming from the older. His best friend has always been a human heater, and usually he is grateful, but now it's coming back to bite him when it's all he can think about. Bokudo's warmth and his body, how it curves and molds to fit him. It's so much, yet it's nothing at all. He's not even paying attention to the movie anymore, instead he just tries to sneak glances at the older and stare for as long as he can until it becomes creep. When Bikudo speaks, it startles him a little. Have you had your first kiss? He asks nonchalantly, like Akashi wasn't just mesmerized with his facial structure, like they aren't sitting in his bedroom at 11 p.m. on a Friday watching Beverly Hills Chihuahua. No, it's true, he hasn't. Have you ever come close? At a party. We were playing 7 Minutes in Heaven and I got paired up with an acquaintance. They threw us in a closet, but instead of kissing we just talked for a bit. Akashi smiles a little because he's actually quite fond of the memory. He's a good friend of mine now and we still talk. Then Akashi starts picking at his nails. It's a bad habit of his. Bikudo pulls his hands away to stop him. What about you? Nope. What's your almost first kiss name? You wouldn't know him even if I told you. Bikudo doesn't say anything for a moment, but he has a look on his face as he watches the movie. I bet I kiss better than him. You've never even kissed anyone. That doesn't matter. I'm sure I'm a natural. Akashi rolls his eyes a little, lightheartedly before he notices Bokudo's smirk. You're not down to play 7 Minutes in Heaven with me. Akashi reddens, but he clicks his tongue and looks away. Don't act all brave if you aren't going to follow through, Bikudo-san. He should have expected it, but Bikudo leans over him. They're closer than they've ever been, with his lips almost brushing against Akashi's and their noses touching. Come on, Akashi. You're not a chicken, are you? The older's voice is a whisper, his breath hot and heavy. Akashi is possessed by something, whether it be his pride, his need to always take on a challenge, or simply because it's Bikudo, and leans in. It's a little awkward and ends a lot sooner than he expected it to. They press their foreheads together and stare at each other, as if asking for permission to try again. Akashi kisses him again, though this time he moves a bit and tries to the position comfortable. It's a lot better. Bokudo's hand runs up his neck and grabs his hair, fingers tangled into his locks and gently scratching his scalp. He accidentally lets out a groan and is about to pull away to apologize when the older makes a noise of his own and presses them even closer together. Their chests are flush against one another now with Bikudo almost fully on top of him. Akashi can't form words, can't think about doing anything other than kiss Bikudo right now. Bikudo, God is he a sight to see, grins softly at him and he falls a little bit more in love with this boy in this moment. With Bikudo Kutaro, his best friend. In this moment, where it's nearing 1 a.m. and Akashi is in his ratty old tee that he'd never wear in front of anyone else, Bikudo in shorts that are soft and a pretty shade of pink, and the older is looking at him like he's the only other boy on earth. It feels like it with the rest of the house silent. I used to have a crush on you. He says, laughing quietly. When we first met, I thought you were so cute. He kisses Akashi softly before pulling back again. Do you like me now? He asks, giving the older another kiss. Bikudo lays his head on his chest. Maybe just a little. Did you like me? Yeah, I did. Do you still like me? Akashi freezes. I don't know. It's a lie. The biggest, fattest lie that's ever come out of his mouth in his 17 years of living. Of course he knows. Of course he still likes Bikudo. It's the only thing he could think about tonight, especially when he can feel him humming on his chest, tapping his fingers gently to the rhythm of his heart. He thinks about it when he can hear Bokudo's soft chuckles against his mouth and trying to shush him because his parents are in the next room over. We should go back to making out, he says cheekily. I enjoyed that. Akashi smiles a little. You're funny. And they kiss. Funny looking. Bikudo bites his lip and then licks it to soothe the pain. It's getting really damn hot and Akashi thinks that he's going to hell for his impure thoughts, but he doesn't care at this point. With a soft pink dust gracing his cheeks, he says nothing and goes back to kissing the older. Bikudo happily kisses him back. Their hands roam a bit, with Bokudo's fingers pulling gently on his hair and his hands on Bokudo's hips rubbing soothing circles. Intimate feather-light touches of thighs, arms, legs, and faces. In the midst of it all, in Akashi's brain, he's fully aware of how weird this is going to be tomorrow morning, or later today. He's here in sloth pajamas kissing his best friend silly at 1 a.m. while said best friend's parents are in the next room over and Beverly freaking Hills Chihuahua is playing in the background. Akashi pulls away and nuzzles himself into the crook of Bokudo's neck. What's wrong? His voice is full of worry. He tries to look at his face, but Akashi just snuggles closer into him and kisses his shoulder. Nothing, just. He doesn't want to ruin this, he doesn't want them to stop being friends because of this. I don't want it to be awkward between us. Do you think it'll be awkward tomorrow? It's already tomorrow. You know what I mean, Bikudo-san. Bikudo hums. Akashi can feel the rumble of his chest and he likes it. Maybe just a little. He gets off of Akashi and lays down, facing him. He follows and Bikudo pulls his head to lay on his chest. He can hear his heartbeat, a melodic thump 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 that Bikudo taps his fingers to on his back. I don't want this to ruin us. Akashi whispers. Bikudo laughs softly and kisses his temple. It won't. We can keep this our secret, if you want. We don't tell anyone about this, okay? It'll be our secret and we'll stay best friends. Akashi knows he's basically cockblocking himself, but he'd rather stay friends with the third year than lose him at all. Nothing will ever be worth risking Bokudo staying beside him, even if just as a friend. So he nods and blinks back, the tears forming in his eyes. All right. Akashi wakes up a few hours later and finds himself still cuddling him. He watches him, hopefully not Edward Cullen type weird, sleep peacefully, his chest rising and falling slowly. Their legs are all tangled up together and Bikudo has him clutched tightly, his fists still on Akashi's shirt. He smiles a little to himself and before he can chicken out, kisses the older's nose before slowly untangling himself and heading to the restroom freshen up. When he finishes, he sees that Bikudo isn't in bed anymore. He heads downstairs to the kitchen and finds him there, eating a bowl of cereal. There's another bowl next to him. Is this for me? He asks as he sits down. He knows it's for him. No, it's for my cat. You don't own a cat, Bikudo-san. Of course it's for you, Akashi. Thank you. They eat in relative silence, but it's not as awkward as he expected it to be and he's thankful. Bikudo tells him that his parents left earlier this morning to run some errands, so they have the house to themselves. So, being two high school boys who just spent the night making out together, they do what everyone else would do. Clean the entire house. Cue Bikudo playing catchy teen pop on his speakers as they mop the floor with their feet. They do the dishes together, one drying and another washing, and engage in a soap bubble war. It's intense and Bikudo is sneaky since he tickles him in order to dump soap bubbles on his head. It's all over his head and face, and he does the only thing he know will throw the older off. He grabs him and kisses him, rubbing himself all over him so that he too is sticky and bubbly. Bikudo pulls away and runs his thumb across his bottom lip. Akashi leans in, but stops himself. Stop it, he thinks to himself, you're the one who said you didn't want it to be weird. He stares at the older's lips, so full and pink and shiny, and after a forgive me to no one, probably God and his parents and himself, he smashes their mouths together. Kissing Bikudo feels so fucking good, yet he knows he shouldn't. They stop after a small peck and begin cleaning up the bubbles. It was the last thing they needed to clean, so now that they've finished being productive, Bikudo looks at him and starts laughing. What's so funny? Your face. Bikudo laughs again when Akashi has this confused but adorable look on his face. Let's watch a movie, Akashi. They end up watching Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2 because they're both idiots and think they're funny. Bikudo is curled up on him, his head on his shoulder. It's only 30 minutes into the movie, but when Akashi looks over next to him, he sees the older sleeping on him. Bikudo, wearing a hoodie that was his, lying beside him, head pressed on his shoulder, body warm, looks ethereal. The light from the window cascades down onto him perfectly. A sight like this is something Akashi believes even Van Gogh wouldn't be able to capture the beauty of. Bikudo, eyes shining, cheeks full and happy, smile bright, leaning over him before kissing him is an image that won't go away. It's in his brain like someone taped it onto his eyeballs. Akashi knows he won't ever get to touch him like he did today. He won't ever see him again in the dark hours of the morning with messy hair and puffy lips on his own. He'll never again feel the warmth of Bikudo like he did today, or hear the voice where it's breathy and hot. It's a shame, a damn tragedy, but Akashi is scared. It's better for us to be friends. He mutters to himself. You don't like me anymore. Akashi doesn't realize he's crying until he feels hot tears run down his cheeks. He's so screwed. He's so screwed and so in love. Akashi Keiji's tears fall down quietly while watching Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2 because he's in love with his best friend, Bikudo Kotaro, and he knows he'll never have this feeling be returned by the boy sleeping peacefully on his shoulder.